The internet had never seen a night like this, a night where two of the biggest stars in the industry found themselves standing on opposite sides of a storm that shook every social platform to its core. It all began with one single leaked clip, one shaky camera recording that seemed innocent at first, until the volume was turned up and the voices became clear. What happened next became the biggest trending drama of the year. Before we go deeper, make sure you subscribe right now, because this story will leave you breathless and the final twist is something you do not want to miss. Everything started on a calm afternoon when Shen Yue arrived on set earlier than usual. Her energy felt different. She moved faster than she normally did, her eyes carrying a strange mix of exhaustion and quiet determination. She barely greeted anyone. She just headed straight to her dressing room with a firmness that surprised the entire crew. Something was clearly bothering her, something heavy, something she had carried for days. Meanwhile, Bailu was in the makeup room surrounded by stylists adjusting her hair and smoothing the fabric of her costume. She was laughing with them, trying to shake off the tension of a long night rehearsal, but underneath that laughter something else sat quietly, something she tried to hide. She kept glancing at her phone, her brows tightening every few minutes as if expecting a message that never came. The real storm, however, began when Dylan Wang arrived. He stepped out of his car slowly, head lowered, jaw tense. He looked tired, distracted, and strangely distant. The kind of distant that can only come from a secret that refuses to stay inside any longer. The moment he walked into the building, several eyes followed him. The energy shifted instantly. Conversation stopped. Lights seemed to flicker. Something was brewing in the air. No one knew what had happened between the three of them, but by afternoon, whispers had already begun to spread. Someone claimed they saw Dylan talking to Shen Yue late the night before. Someone else swore they saw him leaving Bailu apartment building earlier that morning. The rumors collided like sparks in a dark room, and before long the tension on set had grown so heavy that even the crew began to feel breathless. Then came the moment no one expected. Shen Yue stepped out of her dressing room, her expression stormy. Her hair was slightly messy, her eyes sharp, her breathing quick. She moved down the hallway with quick steps as though she had made a decision that could not be reversed. Bailu stepped out from the opposite direction at the same moment, her eyes locking onto Shen Yue instantly. For a few seconds, time froze. The two actresses stood still, 4 steps apart, staring at each other with an intensity that made even the lights hum in silence. The hallway was empty except for the three of them, because Dylan was standing right in the center, his face pale, his hands stiff at his sides. Then Shen Yue spoke first. "Is this why you called him last night?" she said, her voice low but sharp enough to cut through the air. "You think you can pretend nothing happened?" Bailu blinked slowly, her jaw tightening. "So you heard it?" She crossed her arms as if preparing for what was coming. "I called him because he needed the truth. Not your version. The truth." Dylan closed his eyes for a moment as if bracing for impact. Shen Yue took a step closer. "So you decided to tell him without telling me? Without asking me? Without even giving me a chance to explain?" Bailu's voice softened. "I did it because I was tired of watching you hide from everything. From him. From what you really feel. You kept him guessing. I gave him clarity." The words struck Shen Yue like a slap. Her breath caught in her chest as her eyes filled with a quiet fury. "You had no right," Shen Yue whispered. Bailu stepped forward, her voice rising. "And you had no right to drag him into this confusion. You think he does not notice the way you look at him? The way you avoid him? The way you push him away right when he gets too close?" Shen Yue's eyes glistened with emotion. "I pushed him away to protect him. To protect us." Then came the moment that made the entire hallway freeze. Bailu whispered, "Protect him from what, Shen Yue? From your feelings? Or from mine?" Dylan felt his breath stop. Shen Yue stared at Bailu in shock. The truth that Bailu had tried to keep hidden for months had finally surfaced. "You like him," Shen Yue whispered. Bailu swallowed hard. "I tried not to. I tried to stay away. But I could not. And I will not pretend anymore. The silence that followed was heavy enough to crack the ground beneath them. Shen Yue looked away for a moment, her hands trembling, her chest rising and falling rapidly. Then she lifted her gaze slowly, her voice breaking. So this is what you meant when you said you wanted clarity. You were not helping him. You were helping yourself. Bailu shook her head. No. I was helping him understand you. But if you want my truth, then yes. I care about him. I always have. Then Shen Yue whispered something that melted every heart in that hallway. And I have been in love with him all this time. Dylan's head snapped upward. Bailu's eyes widened. The weight of Shen Yue's confession hit the silence like a thunderbolt. Shen Yue stepped forward, her voice trembling. I stayed silent because I did not want to ruin everything. I did not want to hurt you. I did not want to drag anyone into my fear. I thought keeping it inside would save us. But it only made everything worse. Bailu's chest rose as she took a deep breath, her eyes softening for a moment. I never wanted to fight you, Shen Yue. I was just tired of pretending. Shen Yue nodded. And I was tired of hiding. The tension in the hallway shifted again. It was no longer anger. It was pain. Truth. Vulnerability. Then Dylan finally stepped forward. Enough. His voice was gentle but firm. Both of you. Stop hurting yourselves over me. He turned to Shen Yue first. If you loved me, you should have told me. His voice cracked slightly. You should have trusted me with your truth. Shen Yue's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded slowly, accepting the weight of her own silence. Then Dylan looked at Bailu, his expression soft but conflicted. And you? I never wanted you to carry this alone. You should not have had to. Bailu lowered her eyes, her breathing shaky. But Dylan shook his head slowly. I care for both of you, he whispered. But this feud must end. This pain must stop. You two were friends before I came into the picture. You were sisters in everything except name. His voice grew deeper. Do not let me be the reason you break. For a long moment, the three stood quietly. The tension was no longer a fire. It was a fragile sadness moving through the air. Bailu stepped forward first, her voice gentle. Shen Yue, I am sorry. Shen Yue swallowed hard and stepped closer too. I am sorry as well. Their hands met slowly, fingers trembling, but they finally connected. The moment felt like the entire hallway exhaled at once. Dylan watched them with relief, his heart heavy but hopeful. The fight that had erupted like a storm had finally settled into something softer, something real. And that exact moment was what leaked online. The confession. The fight. The truth revealed. The reconciliation. Every second captured by a camera someone secretly held behind a prop cart. The internet exploded with shock. Millions watched. Millions commented. Millions took sides. But in the end, only 3 people knew the entire truth of what happened in that hallway. And only they understood that sometimes the deepest fights come from the deepest emotions. And sometimes it takes a storm to clear the sky. The tension in the hallway was unbearable. Shen Yue and Bailu stood facing each other, emotions raw, breaths sharp. Dylan Wang remained frozen between them, unable to move, unable to speak, as if the entire world had paused around them. Shen Yue's voice cracked first. You had no right, Bailu. You can't just drag him into this. Bailu's eyes softened, but her tone remained firm. I had to tell him the truth. I couldn't watch you both hurt each other silently. Dylan finally stepped forward, his voice calm but commanding. Stop. Both of you. This fight isn't about who's right or wrong anymore. Shen Yue blinked, tears glimmering. But he's my heart, Bailu. Bailu shook her head, trembling. And he's mine to protect too. Dylan reached out, placing a hand gently on each of their shoulders. Enough. I care for both of you, but I will not let this tear us apart. For the first time, the anger melted into understanding. Shen Yue exhaled slowly. I was scared of losing him, of losing us. Bailu nodded, her eyes wet. I was too. Dylan smiled faintly, relief washing over him. Then listen closely, the three of us can only move forward if we stay honest, and if we don't let jealousy and fear win. The hallway grew quiet, the storm finally settling. The tension remained, but it had transformed into something fragile, real, and hopeful. The fight was over, but the bond that survived would never be broken. Shen Yue and Bai Lu exchanged a silent glance, an unspoken promise passing between them. They had fought, they had confessed, and now, together, they would face whatever came next. And as Dylan held both their hands, the cameras that had captured the fight flashed silently, sending the viral drama across the internet in a way no one expected. The fight was over, the truth revealed, and the world could only watch as these three hearts navigated the fragile balance of love, trust, and friendship.